In this podcast episode, Dr. Chris Masterjohn, a PhD nutritional scientist, explores the fundamental role of mitochondria in chronic illness, mental health, and the wide-ranging effects of medications like SSRIs and benzodiazepines. The discussion covers mitochondrial dysfunction as a root cause behind various health conditions, the complexities of mitochondrial testing, the impact of diet, especially red meat and sulfur metabolism, and the misunderstood mechanisms behind serotonin and psychiatric drugs. The episode also addresses challenges in supplement tolerance, mold toxicity treatment, the limitations of traditional diagnoses, and practical approaches to restoring mitochondrial health. Dr. Masterjohn explains that the mitochondria, the energy powerhouses of cells, are central to all health and disease. They convert the energy in food into ATP, which fuels every process in the body, including maintenance, repair, and distribution of nutrients. Aging is strongly linked to a decline in mitochondrial function at about 1% per year, making its preservation critical. Chronic illness often arises from mitochondrial dysfunction, which can manifest in diverse symptoms depending on what part of mitochondrial metabolism is impaired. Understanding this at the biochemical level offers a unified framework for many seemingly unrelated health issues. The conversation highlights the innovative mitochondrial testing approach Dr. Masterjohn's company, Mito.me, offers. Unlike generic health tests, their focus is on revealing individual mitochondrial performance blocks that can provide unique, actionable advice tailored to the person's biochemistry. By measuring different pathways and cofactors involved in mitochondrial energy production, such as utilization of specific vitamins like CoQ10, they can pinpoint nutritional gaps or metabolic bottlenecks. This individualized insight is particularly useful for people who have unusual reactions or supplement intolerances, allowing them to fine-tune nutrient intake rather than following broad protocols. A significant part of the discussion is dedicated to the role of diet, especially red meat, in supporting mitochondrial function and reducing inflammation. Red meat is a primary dietary source of carnitine, essential for shuttling fatty acids into mitochondria for energy production. Inflammatory conditions and biologic drugs like Enbrel that block TNF-alpha may indirectly worsen mitochondrial function by interfering with carnitine transport. This can trigger mental health issues, as insufficient mitochondrial energy in the brain compromises neural function. Removing carbohydrates and focusing on a carnivore or paleo diet rich in red meat can alleviate chronic inflammatory states by reducing the demand for carnitine and calming immune cells like T cells. Both Dr. Masterjohn and the guest discuss a common but underappreciated metabolic issue: sulfur amino acid metabolism disturbances. Diets high in red meat and low in carbohydrates increase sulfur amino acid intake, which can stress metabolic pathways and cause intolerance to many B vitamins when supplemented, resulting in agitation, restless legs, and insomnia. Folinic acid is tolerated better than methylfolate in some cases due to their differing roles in methylation and sulfur cycling. These interlocking pathways must be balanced carefully, and abrupt or high-dose supplementation often backfires in people with mitochondrial dysfunction. Instead, gradual nutrient increases through food sources like liver and unfortified nutritional yeast can help. The podcast challenges the simplistic serotonin happy chemical narrative, explaining serotonin's broader physiological role, especially in mitochondrial oxygen adaptation and whole-body energy management. Serotonin regulates blood flow to well-oxygenated tissues, breathing rate, and gut motility, far beyond just mood. SSRIs impair serotonin transport into cells and mitochondria, disrupting critical mitochondrial signaling. Though they have acute benefits, chronic SSRI use can cause mitochondrial dysfunction and complicated withdrawal syndromes. Benzodiazepines, acting on GABA receptors, similarly impact mitochondrial function by altering neuronal energy demands, and withdrawal from both drug classes can lead to severe neurological injury. The experience of protracted withdrawal varies greatly among individuals, and current medical trials underestimate its frequency and severity due to short durations and study limitations. Dr. Masterjohn highlights how mitochondrial deficits underlie many psychiatric and neurological symptoms rather than purely psychological causes. Conditions mimicking Parkinsonism, for example, may originate from impaired mitochondrial energy control in movement-related brain regions. The guest's family history illustrates this complexity with hereditary depression, drug-induced mitochondrial injury, and ongoing neurological symptoms in themselves and their father. Strategies based on mitochondrial restoration, including targeted nutritional interventions and gradual recovery protocols, may improve function even when traditional diagnoses fail to provide answers. The discussion touches on mold illness and the use of cholestyramine as a binder to remove mycotoxins. Beyond toxin clearance, cholestyramine prompts the liver to ramp up cholesterol synthesis pathways, which produce key mitochondrial cofactors like CoQ10 and Heme. This dual action may partly explain its effectiveness in those with mold-related mitochondrial damage. However, tolerance to cholestyramine requires cautious dose escalation, possibly due to initial stress on cholesterol-dependent cellular processes, crucial for mitochondrial membrane integrity and function. Dr. Masterjohn emphasizes the importance of good nutrition, regular exercise, sunlight exposure, circadian rhythm alignment, and adequate rest in sustaining mitochondrial function. Natural sources of red and near-infrared light, like morning sun, are preferable to artificial devices, but red light therapy can be complementary if natural exposure is insufficient. Sauna use offers benefits through heat-induced mitochondrial stress adaptation and possibly by lowering core body temperature to optimize enzyme function. While fasting patterns matter for mitochondrial regeneration, excessive experimentation without understanding individual responses risks aggravating dysfunction. Although the guest asked about mitochondrial peptides like SS31, Dr. Masterjohn explains that evidence supporting their benefit is currently limited or mixed. Peptides inspired by natural mitochondrial signals generated during exercise, such as MOTS-C and humanin, may help sedentary or older individuals regain function but are not substitutes for actual exercise. Careful consideration of dosing and individual response is crucial, especially for supplement-intolerant people with complex mitochondrial dysfunction. For those who cannot tolerate typical supplements, the recommended approach involves gently lifting nutrient levels through natural food sources over time rather than high-dose pills. Physical therapy and tailored exercise can synergize with nutritional interventions to restore neuromuscular function in mitochondrial injury. Genetic testing combined with mitochondrial function assays can reveal hidden metabolic blocks and guide microdose supplementation protocols, such as creatine in very low increments, to safely rebuild mitochondrial capacity. Ultimately, patient empowerment through education, personalized testing, and empirical self-observation forms the cornerstone of recovery efforts.